Tonight, what the New Zealand AIDS Foundation wants you to know about alarming new trends in HIV transmission. Hi everyone, welcome to the program. I'm Andrew Whiteside. Tonight we're talking about HIV and AIDS, and my guest is Sean Robinson, the Director of the New Zealand AIDS Foundation. New Zealand has one of the lowest rates of HIV in the world, but overseas there is evidence that some gay men are having unprotected sex because they assume new AIDS drugs make HIV transmission unlikely. Added to this is the approval in America of an AIDS drug known as Truvada for preventative use in HIV-negative people. These developments are alarming New Zealand health authorities, who say they could lead to less use of condoms and higher rates of HIV transmission. So Sean, thank you for joining me on the show. Nice to have you here.
You're welcome. It's great to be here.
One of the concerns I know that the Foundation has is around the fact that men who are HIV positive but are on medication are having nearly undetectable levels of HIV, and they're using that as a signal to be able to have unprotected sex. So what is your main issue with that? What do you think you need to tell people?
The main issue is that it's unravelling the condom culture amongst gay and bisexual men, and it is that culture of using condoms all the time for anal sex, which has led to New Zealand having one of the best records in the world for control and prevention of HIV. So we've been really staunch about that for 30 years and been really successful. About 80% of gay and bisexual men use condoms most of the time for casual sex. That's a really high percentage around the world.
I wanted to peel back just a little bit around this issue of the undetectable level, because my understanding is that the levels of HIV in somebody's blood and bodily fluids can fluctuate over time, even if they are on these medications. So there's no guarantee that the limit will be undetectable.
Absolutely. There are a whole lot of reasons why the notion of undetectable viral load is not really very effective as a prevention strategy, and you've mentioned one of them. I mean, just the other day I was talking to a HIV nurse specialist who was talking about how she has a patient who 1 month came in undetectable viral load, next month came in the viral load had spiked. If someone gets an STI, then the viral load can spike, and of course if you're not using condoms, your chances of getting an STI are much higher. In addition, there are studies that have shown that even if you have undetectable viral load in your blood, you can still have detectable levels of the virus in your semen or in your rectal mucus. So, you know, it's not a safety net to say you have undetectable viral load in blood. I think one of the other, major drawbacks to the idea of this using treatment to suppress viral load and that being a prevention strategy is that it depends on people actually being on treatment and knowing they have HIV. And we know just from the study that Otago University did here, less than 2 years ago, that in Auckland, 1 in 5 gay men who have HIV don't know that they have it. So if you don't know you have HIV, you won't be on treatment, so your viral load can't be suppressed. So that's a huge gaping hole in the idea of using treatment to suppress viral load to stop HIV.
So let's discuss this new medication that's coming out of the States called Truvada. It claims to be able to protect people who are HIV negative. What are your thoughts on it? Because I know that the Foundation has some strong concerns about it.
Absolutely. I mean, basically we don't support it at all. I mean, for a start, the notion of using Truvada or any HIV treatment as a kind of preventive, almost like the pill is for women to stop pregnancy, when in fact the trials show that it's only about 42% effective, just to me seems quite ludicrous. You know, why would you take a over 50% chance of contracting HIV when you can use a condom and have a minuscule chance of contracting HIV? So it just doesn't add up to me that people would choose such a ineffective means against a very effective means of protecting themselves.
I guess in a sense that this discussion about this drug, along with the other things that we've just discussed, it does create this sense in people that this is a manageable disease. It's no big deal if you get infected. And that's my sense when I've talked to gay men particularly about this, that it's almost like it's a chronic condition and you don't really have to worry.
I think, if any man or woman talks to anybody who has HIV, the person who's positive will tell them they rather didn't have the virus. I mean, it is a chronic condition now, and that's a huge breakthrough, from the early 90s, that people are no longer developing AIDS and dying. But this is still a very heavy-duty, lifelong, incurable illness that has long-term impacts on your body.
But the reality is people still do die, and some do.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes the drugs they're on no longer work. The virus is developing resistance to it.
Yes.
So I guess there is, right now maybe a good particular point in time that, yes, we may be able to keep a lid on it, but ultimately it's an intelligent virus, for want of a better term.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every year in New Zealand there is still AIDS deaths, and there are a very small number of situations where drug treatment simply fails people.
And they're toxic drugs. And I do know people, they're affecting their heart, they're affecting their kidneys, so it's not a simple situation.
It's not. No, it's not like taking an aspirin. Yeah, I mean, complacency has definitely been one of the things that we've had to combat in the new era of when HIV is no longer a terminal disease. But again, I think while those attitudes are out there, I think it's heartening to see, that the diagnoses are falling and then condom use is increasing.
I'm interested in your thoughts literally around the psychology of what goes on, particularly in a sex act. Because a lot of men that I've talked to about this, they know the risks, they know what prevents that risk, and it's a condom. But at that moment, particularly when they're horny, the thinking goes out of the window. And also a lot of them are making a calculated risk assessment about the person they're with. Do they look healthy? Have they said all the right things? And they're making a calculated, risky guess that yes, it's okay, because particularly if this person's told me they're negative. How do you overcome, or even what do you think's going on in that moment that you can make them move on from that?
I have to sort of declare here that I'm not a gay man, so I don't want to sort of speak on behalf of gay men, and I can't speak from the experience of being involved in sex with another man. I do have sex, so and I am a man.
The urges, you know the process.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very complex, and it's hard to generalise. Again, by creating a condom culture and distributing 500,000 condoms and making sure they're everywhere that people are, hopefully we can kind of make those urges kind of synonymous with condoms and kind of take all the barriers away, just sort of the physical and access barriers away to using condoms. There are some people that resist using condoms, and that's really clear. Probably one of the most common reasons given is that it reduces sensitivity, so people don't like them for that reason, and that's something that we're trying to work on. There are other people that I think like taking risks. It's kind of part of the risk and excitement of sex is perhaps that kind of risk process. I think there's a degree of ignorance perhaps for some people, like relying on how somebody looks in this day and age, is completely idiotic, really. I mean, for a start, when you know, and there's no excuse for not knowing that 1 in 5 people, gay men, have HIV and don't know it, you should also know that they may not look ill. HIV can sort of effectively be working internally for quite a few years before it converts into an AIDS-defining disease, and that's when someone's going to look sick. So it's not something that you're going to see on the outside. So I guess information is still important, and we still do provide that. Overall, though, I think the more we can grow that condom culture, it's kind of like the less options there are for the people who are resistant to it. And it's a bit like peer pressure. People are going to just sort of start going along with the norm of condom use. If people are expecting condoms to be used, then perhaps some of those impulses will just change. There'll be changed behaviour and changed attitudes, and the impulses will be different.
And I guess also for some it's about empowerment. So if they know that it's okay to insist on a condom.
Yep, absolutely. And I haven't really mentioned another big part of the work that we do, which is the kind of the counselling and support work, which is also prevention, because often that is about empowering people to feel good about themselves, good enough to actually insist on condom use, good enough to insist on caring for their own health and be assertive in their sex life and with their sex partners and relationships. That's another voice to which we speak to people. And I guess when you're getting down to those deep psychological motivations, the kind of mass marketing of Get It On can't speak in enough detail to the range of different people who will have different attitudes. But when we're talking to say 1,600 people a year through our health services, that's when we can really start to dig into those individual motivations and help people to kind of understand where they themselves are coming from and change their behaviour.
Sean, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.